Good morning, good morning, good morning, game changers. I am Dr. Taunya. I am coming to you live from Atlanta, Georgia in the US, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. So Winnie shared some amazing tips on what it takes to be a game changer assistant. And I'm going to walk us through just a few things on what it takes to have the mindset of a game changer, as well as how to actually become a game changer influencer. So let's see, everybody's got technical issues this morning. All right, here we go. So if you don't know who I am a national, international speaker, trainer, consultant. I have 20 years of human behavior experience. My organization, we work with companies, helping them to develop their best kept secret. And game changers, you are the best kept secret in your organization, but hopefully not after today. I'm a 3-time author. And I love working with Winnie. Whenever Winnie calls me, I'm going to be there. So let's talk about the mindset of influencers. When you have the mindset of an influencer, you think differently. And so the question that I want to ask you is, how do you think? How do you think, and what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about how much you don't like your job? Are you thinking about the people in your organization are driving you crazy? What are you thinking about? But I want to give you 10 tips on how influencers who are actually absolutely leaders think differently. You have to see yourself in that role of leader, influencer, game changer. So if you see yourself in that role, type in the chat, I see myself. I see myself. You are a leader, you are an influencer, you are a game changer. So I've got 10 things to help you with your mindset and the way you think. So the first one is you want to have a bigger picture of what's going on. In game-changing influencers, think big picture. Think, what's the big picture? Not just what you see in front of you, but what's the big picture? Game changer influencers also are focused thinkers. They're not scattered all over the place. They're very focused in their thinking so that they can make good decisions. And with being a focused thinker, number 3 is they are strategic thinkers. So as a game changer influencer leader, you are a strategic thinker. You're coming up with the plan, not only for your office, for the person that you work with, but for everything that you do. There should be a strategy, and it should be a strategically well thought out strategy. Game changer influencers have the mindset of a realistic thinker. They're not coming up with plans that are pie in the sky that cannot be done with what they have available. They're realistic in what can be done. And it doesn't mean that they're not setting goals that people may sometimes think are unreachable, but they're very realistic in how things are going to get done and who does it take to complete the task. They're possibility thinkers. Are you a possibility thinker, game changers? If you are a possibility thinker, then you believe that all things are possible. You have removed can't from your vocabulary. And that is a mindset of the language that we use in our positions. So you're a big picture thinker, you're a focused thinker, you're a strategic thinker, you're a realistic thinker, and you are a possibility thinker. You believe that all things are possible. As an influencer game changer, you're also reflective. You must have the mindset of really sitting back and being a reflective thinker. And I like to call that tapping into your intuition, because when we tap into our intuition, we are really tapping into what it takes to really move forward when we're assessing the good, the bad, and the ugly of the day. So you want to be a reflective thinker. And then you also want to be a shared vision thinker. You want to be a shared vision thinker. And what I mean by that is when you're sharing your vision with other people, you want to share your vision with other people, right? So when you're strategically thinking about your where you want to go, you want to include other people in that role. You want to be inclusive. You also want to be an unselfish thinker. Influencers are unselfish. So that means that you want to include people in your process. So those are the I think I may have given you 8 instead of 10, 8 ways to become an influencer game changer and really shift your mindset, because mindset is all about how you think. Okay, so you guys ready to get deep into what it takes to become an influencer? And I've got 10 ways to increase your influence. We all want to increase our influence, and we all know that leadership is about influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Leadership is about influence. So here's the first thing. The first thing you want to do is increase your integrity. And how do you do that? You do that by standing firm on your word, by showing up, being where you're supposed to be, being honest, and executing the values of the organization. If people don't see you doing that, they're not going to see anyone else doing it. So the first way to increase your influence is by being a person of integrity. The second thing that you want to focus on is nurturing. Nurturing. Definitely being a person, influencers nurture relationships. And so you want to make sure that you are nurturing those relationships of people that you work with, people that you work for, and people in the community around you. That's how you gain influence, by being a nurturer. And when I think about the word nurturer, I also think about being an encourager, a motivator, a strengthener. So if that's you, type into the chat, I motivate. I motivate. Type that into the chat. The next thing you want is to exhibit faith. Exhibit faith as an influencer. And what that means, what I mean by that is that assets make things possible, right? Our computers make things possible. Our stamp machines, our printers make things possible. But people make things happen. And so we have to exhibit faith and have faith in people that we work with. I know, just like you, that working with people can be challenging. It can be very challenging, but we can't lose our faith in people. As an influencer game changer, you cannot lose your faith. So type in the chat for me, I will not lose my faith as an influencer. The next one, and probably my most favorite one as increasing your influence, is being a good listener. Too many times we are speaking more than we are listening. And I've heard people say that's why the good Lord gave us one mouth and two ears, so that we can listen more. We should be listening. And so I've got an equation for listening, if you will. The first one is we want to always look at the speaker. We don't want to look away. We don't want to be typing on our computer like we're so busy that we can't make that connection. Because remember, if we want to nurture relationships, then we need to be present. So we need to look at the person that you're speaking to and make that eye contact. The second thing is, after they're done speaking, which may mean you have to take some notes, is ask clarifying questions. And I stress the point of clarifying questions, because sometimes we will become a little defensive when we should be listening. And so ask, if you know that you're listening, when you can ask clarifying questions. So that clarifying question may be, Winnie, can you tell me a little bit more about the report? I didn't really understand. You want to ask clarifying questions. The third thing, which really should probably be the second thing, is don't interrupt. Allow the person to get their thoughts out, let them state their case so that you can ask the appropriate questions. The fourth thing is don't change the subject. Again, this is when we get a little defensive and we want to shift the angle here. But influencer game changers don't do that. We stay on task. We deal with the subject matter at hand. We don't take offense, and we are good listeners. The next thing is in listening, this listening equation is, let's try to keep our emotion out of it. Again, we want to avoid becoming defensive. We want to avoid taking it personal. We really want to listen so we can assess how we can serve this team member or the person that we work for. And the last thing is responsive listening. And responsive listening, again, is asking those questions. It is responding to what you heard, not what you implied, not what you thought, but responsive listening is really responding to you legitimately heard. And that's why it's important to take notes from time to time. So, to be a game changer, influencer, you must improve your listening skills. The next thing is that you want to exhibit understanding. You want to exhibit understanding. And so when I think about understanding, fear and selfishness create barriers. It creates a block. I don't know if you can see me, but it creates a block to really showing your influence, really shining as an influencer. So you may not always truly what I want to say, you may not always truly comply with what someone does or the way they do it, but as an influencer, you try to at least understand where that person is coming from. I love what Stephen Covey says: seek first to understand. Seek first to understand. When we gain understanding, then it creates an opportunity for all of these other influential tips to fall into your understanding. And how do you practice your understanding? I believe you practice understanding by asking questions again. Good leaders ask great questions. Good influencers ask great questions. Seek to understand. Then the next way to increase your influence is by enlarging. And what I mean by that is you want to enlarge yourself, your territory, and your organization. And so here on the screen, you'll see three things. Grow yourself. If you're not growing yourself by attending events like Game Changer, the PIA conference, then you're not going to be able to grow other people. And if you can't grow other people, you can't grow your organization. So if you believe in growth, if you believe in growing, then type in the chat and say, I will grow. I will grow. And how do you grow? You can grow by reading books. You can grow by listening to podcasts. You can grow by talking to people who are in other positions. You can grow by networking. There's so many ways to grow, but you must create a growth plan. Only through creating that growth plan will help you to increase your influence. The next one is probably one of my favorites, and it's influencers navigate the way. And I'm sure that many of you in your roles, you navigate so many things. You're probably navigating some things right now, being on this conference, still doing your work, still making sure that all the pieces fall in place. And I love this quote: a leader sees more than others see, farther than others see, and before others see. And so as an influencer game changer, you must see I'm going back to that mindset picture. What is the big picture of what's happening and where we're going? And so you have to navigate that process. You want to see farther than others see. You don't just see what the issue is right here today in this moment, but you're also thinking about what's coming 6 months from now, what's coming a year from now. And influencers see before others see. And so what that means is you want to hedge off any problems, any difficulties. You want to predict, if this is going to happen, I'm going to do this, which goes back to having a strategic mindset, being a strategic thinker. Do you see how all of this is coming together? So game changing influencers navigate the way. And then this is probably one of my favorites. You know, all of them are my favorite, but this is probably one of my favorites. Influencer game changers are connectors. They are connectors. And there are a couple of ways that you can practice your influence by connecting. So if you're ready, I have this on the slide. People connect with you because of your credibility and your communication. That's what equals connections. Are you a credible source, and do you communicate well? And part of communicating is being a good, effective listener, and you will increase your influence. So how do we connect? We connect through relationships. People listen because of who you know. People listen to you because of the sacrifices that you've made and what you've suffered, what you've endured. And that's another way to connect. People listen to you because of your insight, that you can share. Remember, we go back to the mindset of influencers. We think differently. We think strategically. We are focused thinkers. We're possibility thinkers. And so with that comes great insight. And so that's why people listen to you and they connect with you based on that. People listen because of what you have achieved. Yes, you've written a book, you've done a podcast, you've gotten the Paya Award. People listen to you because you've made these great strides in your life, and they want to connect with you because of that. People also connect with you because of your abilities. They listen because of what you're able to do. You're game changers. You're game changers every single day in your positions. You hold the key to the organization. You rock every single day with your superpowers, and your superpowers are your abilities to get things done. And guess what? People want to connect with you based on that. Another connecting factor for influencers is your intuition. And you know, I talked about intuition earlier with the mindset of being a people listen because of what you sense. And so when we reflect on the good, the bad, the ugly of the day, we will get an understanding. And sometimes it's listening to that still small voice, an understanding of what we need to do next. It's that inner voice. I call it intuition, being an intuitive leader, being an intuitive influencer, being an intuitive game changer. The next one is people listen because of your integrity. Wow, you see how this is coming together? We talked about being integral. That is one of the top ways to develop influence. And so it's because of your character. It's because of your honesty. It's because of your values. It's because of how you show up in the workplace every single day. People listen to you because of your heart, your humility, your love for people, and they want to connect with you. People listen because you identify with their needs. Wow, being a game changer and an influencer, you know what's relevant and you know how and when to connect and be available to allow other people to connect with you. And then the final thing in connecting is people listen to you because of your passion. And so they connect with you based on your convictions. What do you stand on? What do you believe? What do you model in the workplace every day? So being a game changing influencer leader is about connecting. Type in the chat, I am a connector. I am a connector. The next way to increase your influence is through empowering others. And let me tell you, there's three things you need to know about empowering others. You want to be able to notice potential in other people. We get so busy sometimes, we're always just focusing on ourselves, but we've got to notice the potential in other people. And when we notice their potential, we can help them grow. The second thing around encouraging others is that we want to use encouraging words. Use encouraging words. You can do this. I believe in you. There's an opportunity with your name on it. Use encouraging words when you're empowering others. Share your knowledge. Share what you know when it comes to empowering others. That is a great way of being an influencer. I share information all the time, and people love it. And they're like, oh, wow, Dr. Lowe, thank you for sharing that resource. Or thank you for sharing, how you did this. It's an opportunity for me to help someone else grow along their growth journey. Remember, we should all have a growth plan as we become game changers. And so we want to empower people. We want to see their potential, share, encourage them with our words, share our knowledge. And then the fourth thing is we want to believe in them. There's nothing more valuable in being an influencer than showing that you believe in other people. And then the final way is to reproduce more influencers. 80% of leaders attract followers. Absolutely. They see you shine. They just want to touch the hem of your garment. They want to be close to you, but they're followers. They're not trying to do what you do. But only 10% of leaders attract other leaders. So understand that as you are an influencer and your reach is far and wide, you're only going to attract 10% of people who want to be influencers like yourself. But then the other layer of this equation is only 5% of leaders reproduce other leaders. 5% of influencers reproduce other influencers. Why? Sometimes they just don't think it's worth it. They don't see the value in it. They're too busy. But nuh-uh, we are game changer influencer leaders. And so what we want to do, going back to empowering, is that we want to make it our business to empower other leaders. We want to make it our business to reproduce other influencers. As you grow in influence, you want to create other influencers, right? So you the last thing is reproduce other influencers. And so when we talk about influencers, I want you to know that you have the ability to make things happen. Influencers use all of these tips to make things happen collectively. And just remember, at the end of the day, you've got this. So I am Dr. Taunya Lowe. Thank you for having me, and I'm available to answer questions.